For the first time in 70 years, an Irish-based trainer is the champion trainer of Great Britain in jumps racing. Welcome to the Final Furlong podcast. I'm Emmet Kennedy, joined as usual by Adam Mills and former jockey Aidan Coleman, who a year ago was winning the big Grade 1 at Sandown, but is now joining us on the Final Furlong podcast. Stepping up in the world, Aidan. First of all, did you ever think that an Irish-based trainer, another Irishman, would follow in the illustrious footprints of the late great Vincent O'Brien and be champion trainer of Britain and Ireland at the same time?
I suppose it'd be hard for anyone to think, but then when you look back at what Willie's been doing for the last few years, you probably think, you probably go along the lines that it was inevitable. It's easy to be wise now, isn't it? But Willie's been all conquering for a number of years now, and he's been in the top 2, 3, 4 of the British champion trainers. Nearly 2016 was it when he nearly got there. So it was probably coming, wasn't it? Really, but what an achievement! What an achievement!
It's phenomenal. It would have happened sooner, Adam, had Michael O'Leary not pulled his Punchestown horses away from him, which happened right after.
The 2016. Then the next year, next year he was going to keep the Irish Championship, and then he got that in the last week from Gordon, didn't he? And
yeah, he got super close to being champion trainer of both. And then O'Leary pulled the horses. So for him to be able to rebuild it, Adam, in the way that he has, it really is quite extraordinary that he's champion trainer in both countries and that Michael O'Leary is back in the yard as well.
Well, that shows you how good Willie is, that Michael O'Leary, the owner of Ryanair, has had to back down. He tried to make a big stand and look at me, and it's all gone wrong and he's got to go back. But I think sometimes people in racing think, Willie has the best horses, that's why he wins. What they don't see is how hard Willie's team work behind the scene to source those horses, how well they're placed. Think of all the owners in the yard. I mean, he's probably got 3 or 4 horses that could compete for next year's champion hurdle. All of those owners are happy. None of them are saying, I want to move my horses elsewhere, this is too competitive. They're all in. And I think British racing takes the view this is a one-off. I'd be of the opinion he's probably going to win 3 of the next 5. And I think when you look at the way our trainer's title is worked out, it's on prize money. And realistically, Willie got to March, he's nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. He has a good Cheltenham, he's on a roll. Okay, he's won the Grand National, but even if you take that out, he's not that far away. And if anything, Willie will have learned in the last 2 weeks, I can run the B team in England and pick up prize money. And particularly with the novice hurdlers, because in Ireland, you have the maiden hurdles. If you win a maiden hurdle in Ireland, you can't go back into another one under a penalty. So you've got to go the rated route, the pattern route, or eventually the handicaps. Whereas, as you saw last week, Rathgall Boy went to Foss Last, picked up £4,000 for a cantering round. Daddy Longlegs does the same thing at Ludlow. I wouldn't be surprised if Willie looks at this and thinks, you know what? When we've got one that's a little bit difficult and needs more experience, we'll just send it over to England. We'll go and win a novice hurdle under a penalty. I think one thing I would say is I think we need to give some recognition to Dan Skelton, actually. If you'd have said to Dan this time last year, you're going to beat Paul Nicholls next year, Dan would have gone, yep, I'll take that, because if I beat my old boss, I'll win the trainer's title. And in any other year, he would have won it. And he's had a phenomenal season. But I think the other thing it really shows you is it's about quality, not quantity. Both of them had significantly more winners in the UK. But ultimately, you cannot win the trainer's title anymore by winning the Class 4 handicaps on a Tuesday afternoon. You've got to have the big ammunition. But fair play to William, and it's a phenomenal achievement, really. And to think, really, he only got to Aintree and then he went, okay, all right, we'll have a go. Whereas everyone else has been slogging it out. I think he will. Next, I don't know what price he is for next year's title, but if he wins the National again next year, he'll win the trainer's title because he's just so good.
Well, there was an article by David Jennings in the Racing Post where he said, I think it was Boyle Sports were going 5-1 about him to be, could have been William Hill actually, we're going 5-1 about him to be champion trainer next year, and he had to do a double take on, wait, is that 5-2? Is it 5-1 on? And they've done it the wrong way around. And I think you talk a lot of sense. The thing that interests me is you could argue, and I'm not taking anything away from what Willie Mullins has done, it's an exceptional achievement, it's incredible what he's done. But you could argue a lot of things really went his way. Like Nicky Henderson had to rule out Constitution Hill from the champion hurdle for physical issues, and then the rest of his A-listers were all effectively ruled out of Cheltenham because of whatever bug was in the yard.
That was the champion hurdle and the Triumph hurdle as well, wasn't it?
Very good point. There's two major Grade 1 races that were basically handed to Willie Mullins because Nicky's out of contention. Paul Nicholls doesn't target Cheltenham anymore, and I'll ask both of you about what that means for him going forward. Because he's been able to say, well, I'm British champion trainer, and his owners, I'm sure, get great enjoyment out of helping him be British champion trainer. But how do you feel when you're no longer a champion trainer? Well, what does that mean for who Paul Nicholls is? But to keep it on Willie Mullins, he takes his team to Aintree and goes all out to win it. Obviously wins the Grand National, which would have been a major asset to him in winning the Trainers' Championship. Then a week later wins the Scottish Grand National. Then a week later he wins the Whitbread. You can't build your season on, well, I'm going to win the Grand National and going to win the Scottish Grand National. So does Willie Mullins next season, Aidan, does he go, okay, I'm going to target the horses at better races in Britain early on? And I would remind everybody of what Katie Young was saying on this show at the start of the season, which was ignore Willie Mullins' form early on. He doesn't really get going until the winter time. She was absolutely right about that. And it's something to bear in mind for next season as well. But do you expect to see more, as Adam was saying, more Willie Mullins horses early in Britain? Or will he just go the same as this year? Secure the Irish Trainers' Championship, go all out for Cheltenham, and then if you've had a great Cheltenham, great, now we'll go for it.
I'd say he will. I don't know, will he really go for it until probably after Cheltenham like he did this year. But I think, when you're looking at his B team coming over, and he's got a lot of runners in the big handicaps like the Whitbread or 365 and the Scottish National, he had several runners in them. I suppose those horses will probably, there's Welsh Grand Nationals, there's Grand National Trials, there's Peter Marsh's, Tommy Whittle's, Midlands Grand National. There's loads of races for them types of horses. So I could imagine you'll see him a lot more in them races. And then you just never know when Constitution Hill comes back if he's going to be the force of old, and then that opens up a Christmas hurdle as well, doesn't it? And an international hurdle. Well, he won that last year at Lossiemouth anyway. Potentially the Fighting Fifth, even though it might be a bit early in the year for Willie, but he's got plenty of horses to come over with, and I don't know, is he really going to go all out the whole way? But I think we're definitely going to see more of him. I'm sure we are.
Yeah, does he copy and paste this season, Adam, and use this as the blueprint?
I think this is probably the blueprint. I think he would take the view, we won't care so much about the British title until Cheltenham's over. But if we get to the end of Cheltenham and we're close enough, which, let's face it, he's going to be, because British prize money is not great. And if you think about the way our season is geared, at least 50% of the overall prize money is in the last 2 months. So it's not like Dan Skelton and Paul Nicholls are going to win 10 Grade 1s over Christmas, because there just aren't that many races. Nicky Henderson not taking part in the trainers' title battle still doesn't detract from the fact that he's going to pick up quite a few of those races, particularly if Constitution Hill comes back fit and firing. So I think Willie will probably take the view, if I get to the end of Cheltenham and I'm anywhere within the Grand National prize money of winning this, that's when we'll just flood it and we'll go for Aintree. Because I think it's also noticeable that in Ireland, Gordon and Henry are fantastic trainers, so is Gavin Cromwell, but they're not going to beat Willie. They're not going to. They could have a 2 million head start. They'd still be struggling because Willie's just got so many horses to place now. And he's got all of these races. And if you look at Punchestown this week, look at the entries. There are some races you think, well, Willie must be 1 to 20 to win this. So it's very unlikely that he's going to be worrying about the Irish Trainers title. Therefore, he can afford to say, you know what, I'm going to save a couple of these for Sandown, or we'll send more to Aintree than we need to. But if you think about the last 2 weeks, with the possible exception of El Fabiolo, he has not like he pulled his real superstars. State Man wasn't sent across. There was no sign of Lossiemouth. It's not like he's had to pull the absolute Grade 1s. He's pulled those who've been slightly below that level. I mean, I'll be honest and say, I had no idea who McDermott was. Absolutely not. He wasn't on my list. No idea. When he went, and it's only when I was looking at the Scottish National writing a preview, I thought, blimey, he's not a bad horse. But I'd never heard of him. But yeah, he's won the Scottish National, and that's a sign. I spent all day long looking at racing, 8 to 10 hours a day. I'd never heard of the horse. Probably says more about my research of Willie's team, but it also shows you just like that's the strength he's got. I mean, look at Sharjah. Sharjah's 11, up to 3 miles in the first time, bolts up. It's Whereas, if Sharjah went to the Punchestown Festival and ran in the 3 mile handicap chase, he'd find it much harder.
Yeah.
Willie doesn't need to send his A game. He can send his B game, and that'll probably be enough if he picks up another national, which you really wouldn't bet against him doing.
Well, certainly not this version of the Grand National. If we were talking about the Grand National from the noughties, it would still be a lottery. But this Grand National, where it's reduced fences, they're basically fixed brush hurdles with a bit of birch thrown on top of them, and a reduced field to no more than 34 runners, that's only going to aid Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott, and Henry de Bromhead, which I find it then very interesting that the journalists who are telling you there must be this BHA restriction on the number of runners for trainers in Class 1 and Class 2 handicaps, then telling you, oh, the Grand National was amazing. This is great. Really? Do you really think that then? Is that what you really think, that those restrictions should be put in place? Because that doesn't tally with telling us the Grand National.
I think they're very much clutching at straws with ideas like that. I think that's, it's very unfair to limit, to penalise success, really, isn't it?
Well, that's effectively what Ruby Walsh was saying, Aidan, is going to happen. Because
yes, I do get, as Ruby said, things change for Ferrari and Michael Schumacher and, things like that, wasn't it? And, making golf courses
tiger-proof.
Yeah. So, but I don't like the idea of limiting trainers' amount of runners, because it's not, it's not their fault that they have these horses. Well, it is, but for the right reasons. I don't think it's fair to say that you can't run so many horses, because that really puts a big conflict amongst owners, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that person might be losing owners. They've got staff as well, that they've built up from the ground up, all that kind of stuff that, they have to pay. And if owners are leaving to go to other trainers because their horses can't run in the same race, and I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me that restricting the amount of runners a person can have in a race.
Well, imagine if the Premier League had said, when Sir Alex Ferguson was dominating with Man United, which was a real bother to me because I'm a Liverpool fan. Don't mention the weekend, but just both of you shut up, basically. No, it's not been pleasant. But imagine if they'd said, right, Man United can keep doing what they're doing, but Ferguson has to go. Or if he's going to still be in charge, you're deducted 5 points before the season begins because we need to be able to handicap you for the brilliance of Ferguson. Nobody would have accepted that. Nobody would say that's okay. If they had to try to suppress or do something to nobble Tom Brady, it's like, yeah, well, each team gets a 10-point advantage against the New England Patriots because Belichick and Brady are too good. You can't do it. That's completely undemocratic. It's totally unsportsmanlike. It's not fair to do those kind of things. That being said, we had this conversation last week, Aidan. It's now 26 British trainers who have won over £500,000 in prize money this season, which is fantastic. 4 of them are Irish-based. Those same 4 Irish trainers are the only Irish-based trainers to win over €500,000 in prize money this season. Apologies. That is a lie. That is Russian disinformation. I'm a Putin puppet. Philip Rothwell over the weekend did actually get over to 538,000. So there's 5 in Ireland who have won more than 500,000. But that's it, though. It's the big 4 and Philip Rothwell. And I don't know how this manages to work out for racing overall. If you've got, if you're going to say that British racing is in turmoil, but there's 26 trainers, 21 of them based in the United Kingdom who have all won more than £500,000 in prize money, and then look at Ireland and there's only 5 and 4 of them are the trainers who have won that money in the UK as well. Which jurisdiction is actually doing better? Is it Britain or is it Ireland? And I would say it's probably Britain, but the system is very much favoured towards the super trainer. Adam, you're kind of shaking your head.
Well, I don't think it'll make any difference. One, if you say the Grand National is a heritage race, so each trainer can only have 2 runners, it's not like British racing has got 400 horses rated 145 plus to get in. So what you're going to end up in that scenario is a much wider handicap. You'll have half the field with no chance because they'll be rated in the low 130s. And ultimately, Ian Maximus would have won no matter who he was against. But what I don't want to see is I don't want to watch Ian Maximus dot round against a horse who's normally running in a class 3, who just happens to be here because he's with a smaller trainer. And ultimately, I just think if I go out tomorrow, I have to talk to my missus, but if I went out tomorrow and said to Francois Nicole, I want to buy your 3-year-old hurdle winner from Compiègne because I think it'll win the Triumph, and he agreed, and we spent whatever we spent on it, I'd still send it to Willie Mullins. I wouldn't think, oh no, I must give it to a smaller trainer because Willie might not pick mine to run in the Triumph Hurdle if he's only allowed 2. I'd still think I'm buying a horse to win the Triumph Hurdle. Therefore, I want it with the man who's most likely to win the Triumph Hurdle for me. That's Willie Mullins. And so it isn't that straightforward as just putting restrictions on trainers. You know, what British racing unfortunately does is we go, there must be a reason that the Irish are better than us. There's got to be a reason, and it can't be just the fact that they're better than us. And so we're scratching out all these different rule changes. We got Dr. Richard Newland spouting xenophobic rubbish, when actually what we should be doing is saying, why is it that those Irish trainers are recruiting better than us? Why is it that their horses are coming through better than us? Why are we so far behind? If we learn from the model, why don't they get BHA should get Willie in? Come on, Willie, you're at the top of the game. You're the greatest trainer. Certainly in my lifetime. I think he's well past Martin Pipe and the rest of them now. Get him in and say, if you're in charge, really, what changes do you think should be made? Let's talk to the man. Let's try and learn from what they're doing. And every racing jurisdiction has its problems, but ultimately, this thing of restricting trainers is just, it's bizarre. You can't say you're better than us, so you're not playing. That's not how it works. You can't, teams don't get excluded from the Champions League because they're good. Mm-hmm. I'd love it. If Gillingham played in the Champions League, I'd be like, brilliant, here we're in. Because all these other clubs have been ousted, but it'd be pointless. So, that's not how it works.
Sorry, Manchester City, you're just too good. Yeah. You can't play.
Yeah, so instead we're going to take Gillingham, who've got no pedigree at this level whatsoever. They haven't even got a stand at one end of the ground. It's a temporary one. It's been up 20 years. We've just finished 12th in League Two, sacked our manager. I'm getting my club rant out. But I tell you what, because we haven't won anything in the last 20 years, we get a chance. It's ludicrous. You have to look at it from a realistic point of view. If they're having so much success, learn from that success. Don't try and put obstacles in the way.
Well, that's actually exposed a flaw in the theory of adapting the NFL-style draft system for bloodstock. That, everybody gets a chance. The smaller owner gets a chance to get the best horse because they haven't had the success that JP McManus and Rich Ritchie's had. And the immediate thing to say there is, if you watch the NFL draft, you know that the small team does get first pick, but the small team often sells its first pick to a much bigger team. And they just take the money. And that's what the owners would do. If Aidan Coleman has sent a horse to the sales and you and I are the two that are in line to get it because we haven't had as much success as Rich Ritchie, what do you think is going to happen? Rich Ritchie, we're going to pay Aidan way below the odds because we're not able to pay 500 grand. So let's say if we're in great territory and we can spend 100 grand on a horse, Aidan's stuck with 100 grand.
But then I'm not selling it, if you know what I mean, because I know the value of my horse. So
exactly.
Then you're not getting
But let's say there's some bizarre world where you're forced to. Rich Ritchie just comes along and says, right, well, I'll pay you 500,000 right now privately. Yeah. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
But there is another problem to this, which is the French breeders and the owners in France want to sell to Willie Mullins. So there is one price for Willie's team and there's sometimes one price for other people. And there's also horses that some people will be told they're not available and 2 months later they're in Willie Mullins' yard. So it is just, it's not as straightforward as just thinking of like this NFL draft system, because ultimately buying a horse, sourcing a horse is a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
It's not like the horse can tell you, I've got 20 pounds of improvement up my sleeve, send me up in trip. That isn't there. So it's a matter of opinion. And if you were to correlate money spent, the big yards don't make money because for every good horse, there's 3 bad ones. But it's not as straightforward as just saying we can sort of put this loop in place and we'll try and give everyone a fair chance, because it doesn't work that way. You'd have to remodel the program, the racing model. You'd have to get rid of all the different voices. It's impossible to do. And we are just trying, everyone's looking for an excuse, whereas actually should be going, this is probably the greatest training performance in 50 years. Because it's not like he's had runners every week and he's come over here. He's won all the races, but the horses are fantastic. Absolutely. Look at what he's done with Impere Pass. I mean, if you watch when we did the Aintree preview, I was like, Impere Pass got no chance. Things they're terrible runs this season. What are they doing? And he's come back, won both times. It's phenomenal. This isn't just a man with the best horses. If I went into that yard tomorrow, Willie said, you're in charge for a year, I wouldn't win the British Trainers title. I wouldn't win the Irish one. I just wouldn't. That's nothing to do with the fact that I can't train horses, but it's more just, there's so much more to this man than just having the best horses in his yard.
But there's even small things like the first time I interviewed him, he was incredibly nice. I was nobody, still am nobody really. But he was incredibly nice and incredibly generous with his time. And I was fascinated by Undeso. Why did my brain just freeze there? I was fascinated by Undeso. At the time, he was a hurdler. And there was talk that he might go for the champion hurdle. And that was really what I was zoning in on, first of all. And he was like, no, I'm not going to Cheltenham with him. And obviously the follow-up question was, well, why? And he went, Undeso is the future. And I'm not going to blow his head off in a champion hurdle. I don't think it'll suit him. But he is the future of this yard. And he was proven to be right. Anybody else would have had an exciting talent like that and gone, no, Cheltenham. And I get that I have been critical of Paul Nicholls for ducking Cheltenham with horses in recent years, most notably this year with Caldwell Potter, for example, thinking that Cheltenham is the be-all and end-all. But somehow he's just able to see something in individual horses to get the best out of them. Tell us more when, at the time, he would have been the most expensive horse, at least publicly bought at Willie's Yard. I think he was €280,000. And I remember talking to Patrick about him, and Patrick saying he came in a really unfurnished looking horse that looked very backward and looked like he was going to need at least a summer on his back. And Willie took one look at him and went, there's a bumper in Gorn Park in 2 weeks, we'll run him there. Patrick was like, what the hell are you talking about? No, you can't. Like, he's not ready. The horse bolted up. Willie sees things that most people just don't, and has an understanding of the game that most people just don't. That's why he's as good as he is.
Yep. Simple as that, really.
Do you think he'll be champion trainer next year, Aidan, in Britain?
If he wants to be, he will be. Probably, yeah. He's probably going to be champion trainer, yeah.
Adam?
Yeah, he's odds on to be champion trainer. He is odds on. Unless Dan Skelton and Paul Nicholls combine and a joint license. And even then, I'll make Willie about twos. But it is just that he is so good. So good. And if the worst thing that can happen for British racing is Willie says, oh, you know what? We'll start taking a proper aim at the Betfair Chase. And we'll look at Cheltenham's Trials Day in real detail. And we'll start coming over for some of the British grade ones. It'd be a nightmare. He could win it by further if he really wanted to.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Funnily enough, I think if Gordon Elliott was to divert all of his attention to Britain, he'd be champion trainer. Because he's picked up a massive amount of prize money that's not really been talked about at all. And you could take the very same attitude to him as Willie. He didn't try. He wasn't trying to be champion trainer of the United Kingdom, and yet he's elevated himself. Is he 5th in the end? Am I right about that? Yeah. Gordon Elliott is 5th in the British Trainers' Championship, and no one's talking about it. 1.6 million in prize money, and he really only tried from Cheltenham onwards. So if he was to set his mind solely to Cheltenham, solely to Britain, I think Gordon would be champion trainer there. We'll see.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how it pans out. One of the big races of the day ended up not going to Willie Mullins. It ended up going to Nicky Henderson and John Bon. And Aidan, you were on that horse only a year ago, seeing him sail to victory. When I talked to you a week ago, we were talking about him going up and trip next season. And I think this probably would have been a viewpoint that is now flipped around. There's now a narrative that maybe El Fabiolo is the one who needs to go up in distance, and does John Bon stay at the 2 mile division? What did you make of his performance over the weekend, and what does it mean for him next season?
Well, I've said it since the first day I rode him. He's a 2 miler, aggressive ride like the other day. That was his. That's what he wants, and that's what he's best at. And I'm definitely not going to change now. People are just maybe might be starting to agree with me. I definitely think that's his forte. Good ground is very important as well. So yeah, he was impressive. He just never gave El Fabiolo a chance. He just had him under the pump the whole way, and he made a couple of small errors down the back. And when you got a horse of John Bon's caliber in front of you, you can't really do that. I think El Fabiolo ran perfectly fine. Maybe he wasn't really up to his very best, but I think that was up to John Bon putting him under pressure. I think Edwardstone's a very good horse, and on the ground, on good ground as well. He had everything in his favour. So I just thought John Bon was just under proper tactics, and his real condition showed how good he is.
Is he the same for you, Adam, an out and out 2 miler, and should be going for the champion chase next season, or is he going up and trip for King George's and Ryanair's?
No, I don't think so. I think he is a 2-miler. I don't see anything in John Bond that would make me think you'd need it. I don't actually agree that El Fabiolo needs to go up in trip. I think he needs to improve his jumping.
El
I agree.
Is the stick. Just you cannot consistently belt fences and get away with it. And unfortunately for El Fabiolo this season, on the 2 occasions that it's really mattered, he's just made far too many jumping errors. And Sandown is probably the worst track to start making jumping errors because of the way they come
straight away, isn't there?
Yeah, and it was all over at the railway fences. Really, you can't get those wrong. And if you think about the great horses who've won round Sandown over the years, you never saw Altior make a mistake at the railway fences. Sire de Grugy never made a mistake at railway fences.
Moscow Flower.
Sprinter Sacre. Well, yeah, you don't make mistakes. I don't really know what they can do with El Fabiolo other than school him better and just find a way to get him jumping. And if it means he uses a yard of pace, so be it. But you can't make the mistakes he does. No. And in his last 2 races, I think he's jumped 18 fences. I reckon he's made a mistake at 9 of them. Well, that's just too many for a champion chaser. I think the one side effect of this is Willie will just look at Gaelic Warrior and think, you're my champion chase horse. There's no more question of Gaelic Warrior going up in trip. He's got to be the 2-miler. I know Energumene's coming back, but at the age of 12, I think John Bond would do him. And John Bond just, the Aintree win was impressive, but this was better. This was
it's a 2-mile.
Genuine Grade 1. Oh, yeah, 2 Arkle winners there. Absolutely legless at the last, which is that's some achievement to do that. I think, I don't know if he is, but I think he should be favourite for next year's champion chase. Because if he gets in front and he gets into a rhythm, Gaelic Warrior is prone to make mistakes. Doesn't necessarily. I know he won the Arkle this year, but he doesn't really want to go left-handed. Sorry, El Fabiolo. You think he'll make a mistake? Energumene's 12. It's quite hard to knock John Bond, really. When you look at this season, if you take out the race when he made the really bad error in the Clarence House, everything else has been pretty much foot perfect.
Yep.
I would absolutely agree with everything you've just said there. Just in terms of El Fabiolo, Aidan, is it possible that Sandown just isn't his track for the reasons that have been mentioned, that the fences are quite stiff, the nature of the track, that's the reason why he hasn't quite performed? Well, or is it just that he just doesn't jump well enough?
The fences aren't that stiff at all. I just thought, I think it's just John Bond. If you take a fraction of the pace out and have, just say John Bond isn't in the race and you're going a little bit slower, it gives him a lot more time to jump better. And then he's probably ends up an impressive winner of that race. And then everyone says, even if John Bond ran, he wouldn't have beat El Fabiolo anyway. John Bond got El Fabiolo beat by just getting him under pressure, and he made numerous, not significant errors down the back. They weren't major ones, but when you're running in a Grade 1, 1 is too many. And he made a few, and that was only because John Bond really, really, put him under pressure, and that's what happened,
Yeah, I think that you're both right, by the way, and just to say about El Fabiolo going up a trip, that's not my opinion. It's the view of people on social media, and my view of that is quite interesting. I find that to be really intriguing in the sense that he beats Dino Blue fair and square. She had won a Grade 1 over 2 mile 1 on her previous start. He beats Gentleman Demi in that race as well. Gentleman Demi comes out and finishes second in the champion chase, and then he pulls up in that race and gets beaten by John Bond in this, and suddenly people are like, oh, he's useless. He's not.
But has there ever been a 2-miler that everyone hasn't been roaring for to go up and trip? It just seems to be, common, doesn't it?
Even Moscow Flyer, they were talking about him going for the King George at one point.
Yeah, always up and trip. He's always up there. I don't know, for some reason, people don't really seem to be happy keeping horses at 2 miles.
Yeah, and hey, I've been calling for John Bond to go up and trip since last season, so I'm guilty of that as much as other people are. But I do think he's going to end up being a champion chaser again next season, and obviously JP desperately wants to win the champion chase, and he clearly means an enormous amount to the Nicky Henderson and JP teams, so he should be given his opportunity to go and do that. He's not favoured for the race, Adam. I checked out Jeff Banks' bet. They're not betting on it yet, but obviously you can just ring up Jeff on his private number, and I'm sure he'll lay you odds very, very quickly. Gaelic Warrior is favourite for the champion chase. He's between 5-2 and 7-2. John Bond is available at 4s, widely. I'm sure Jeff Banks will happily give you 4-1. He might even give you bigger if you ask nicely enough. El Fabiolo, a 5-1 shot. 4-1 does seem big about John Bon.
It is.
Yeah.
He would have won it if the Nicky Henderson issue hadn't happened this year. If Nicky Henderson's horses were all fine, he'd have won the Champion Chase.
Would he? Would he? You think?
You think he'd have?
You
think Captain Guinness would have beaten him?
I don't know. That race is so weird. I think the ground that might have just affected. I think actually probably the worst thing would have been Nico would have thought, right, where's Paul? Because that's what I've got to beat. And then with Paul out the race, it might have got a little bit messy. I don't know. Probably on form. Like if John Bon was running at Punchestown this week, he'd be long odds on to beat Captain Guinness. And I think he is. But the only way I could see slight concern he'd have is if it was really heavy. Because
Not even really heavy. I good ground, good to soft maybe. Anything other than that, he's vulnerable. I think he's very much a goodish ground horse. Yeah.
Is it just the ground and not Cheltenham? Because he was so good in the Schlur.
Was he though?
What
did he beat?
Well,
what did he beat?
That's true.
What did he beat?
He beats. Yeah.
New Bernegger wants fast ground. Edwardstone wants fast ground. Editor de Guy gone.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
How could he not win that race? Everyone said that at the time, and I was just looking like, where's the form?
Well, to be fair, I think the only person I remember really questioning it was Katie Young, and she kept saying, I think she was actually saying she thought Nico had given him too hard a ride, and that it would blow back, and he wins the Tingle Creek, but he wasn't as impressive as he had been in the Schlur. She was making a lot of sense, basically, and then things go wrong at Cheltenham.
She made sense. The shore form is just not form for if you're going along the Champion Chase kind of route, if you know what I mean. That was just a perfectly adequate first run, and he won. But I wasn't blown away with it. I was expecting him to do that, and that was it. I couldn't see why all of a sudden he's a different horse when he's beating them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What have they done since? I know Edwardstone, don't get me wrong, has come out and won really impressive at Newbury, but that is on good ground and different tactics. The others, you want to be winning that with his leg tied up, to be honest.
And to be fair to Adam, would John Bon have won the Champion Chase? Well, Edwardstone was well beaten when he fell. And Edwardstone is very close. You are right about ground, yeah, but you could, if you wanted to be really pedantic about it, you could say.
I think John Bon would be just as vulnerable on that ground as Adam said. I'm not saying he would have won the Champion Chase, even though I'm sure, look, he beat Captain Guinness last year in the celebration. He's a better horse than Captain Guinness, but I'm not sure that ground at Cheltenham on the Wednesday, you would have seen the best John Bon.
So John Bon back over 2 miles next season. It's the right distance for him in the Champion Chase. That was a fantastic story for Nicky Henderson. Unfortunately, it would really turn bad, and it's just been a desperate season for him. But losing Shishkin is just brutal. That's
very
horrible.
brutal. Very sad, a horse like that, yeah.
It's devastating. And if there's any good thing that you can take out of it, it's the reaction on social media to his loss, the outpouring of grief, and the amount of people who he meant so much to, and the memories that people are sharing about him. I mean, that's good to see. He was trending on Twitter. Was he trending on real Twitter, or was he trending on horse racing Twitter? I'm not sure, but we'll say he was trending on Twitter. And there was a massive outpouring of grief from people. And by the way, for those who say no one goes racing for horses, it's a social occasion, the amount of people who were reacting to Shishkin's passing and showing photos and videos of him from being at the races proves to you how many people go racing because they love horses. So you can take your Ascot campaign, not interested in it, quite frankly. But Shishkin was, he was a wonderful racehorse. What's your favourite memory of him, Adam?
Well, I was there at Ascot when he beat Energumene. That was like, that is one of the weirdest days racing I think I've ever been to. Just to be at that race was kind of, everyone in the crowd was, you were either a Energumene or you were a Shishkin. For what it's worth, I was a Energumene.
So was I. I was on the wrong side of that.
I stood next to my mate Joe, who we met at the racing, and we were coming to the last. I said, I've got you. Because Energumene jumped the last, and I thought, we were away here. Paul's got the rail, we were fine. And just Shishkin had been wide. He'd been jumping out to his left. I thought, we got him. And he just kept coming. And the noise when he crossed the line was deafening. But just to see, and when those two walked in, if you know at Ascot, they cross the line and then they go through like the tunnel under the grandstands to get back to the paddock. And there were people running and sprinting to get themselves there to take photos of that race, which was just phenomenal. And you kind of forget how long Shishkin's been around. But I mean, you think back, I saw a video on Twitter today of his Supreme win, which was probably one of the best Cheltenham rides I've ever seen. And if you remember, the Donnellys also had a steering phalange in the race who did his best to wipe out the field at the second last. And Nico kind of weaves through and he comes and goes. And it's just that, like, no horseshoe about like that. This is not how it's meant to end. But that Ascot race will be one of those races that in 20 years people will be like, still talking about Energumene versus Shishkin. That's one of the most exciting races I've ever seen live. Phenomenal.
I really like the fact that that's your big memory, and I love the fact that it's not a Cheltenham Festival race. And it further emphasizes how great jumps racing is, and that there are major races that are either side of the Cheltenham Festival. Cheltenham's great, we all love Cheltenham, but there's more to life than just the Cheltenham Festival. Aidan, what was it that set him apart from others? What was it that made him so special?
I was just it's like what makes any horse at that level so special. He was extremely talented. So sad really, wasn't it, to go out like that, a horse like that, especially, not all irrelevant what he would have gone and won at Punchestown this week, but it was looking like he'd have a very good chance. He had a very good character as well, hadn't he? He wasn't one of them boring types of horses that just went racing and got the job done. He had a presence about him as well, didn't he? He had like that little quirk that we seen at Ascot this year when he kind of didn't jump off and a few things like that. But he was a very good racehorse for a long time, wasn't he? And it was very sad, and I read that yesterday. It was very sad.
It's brutal. And thoughts are with Nicky, the Donnellys, and the entire team, and obviously Nico as well. He was a wonderful, wonderful racehorse. And if there's anything you can take from it, it is the outpouring of grief from his fans. Just goes to show you how many people he meant so much to, and that's something to take some bit of solace in. We lost Elixir de Nuts as well, which is just that was a tough weekend of racing. It really was, for all the good. And racing's an incredible sport, but that never gets easy. It never does. Okay, Punchestown is obviously going to go ahead. It's unfortunately not going to have Shishkin, and Nicky made a point of mentioning that, which I thought was a nice thing for him to do. They were getting him ready to go. We're going to skip the Tuesday, because by the time this podcast comes out, it might actually be Tuesday. So I'm sure Aidan and Adam would have given you massive priced winners of all the big races, but
I was our strongest day, I think, Adam, wasn't it? I think we had four naps for Tuesday.
we had the tote jackpot worked out and everything.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
I apologize profusely to everybody, but we couldn't record until Monday evening, so try to turn around. We'll skip straight to the Wednesday. The Connor Estate, the Connor Real Estate Group, Novice Hurdle, Grade 1. Dancing City heads the betting at 5-2. Stellar Story, a 3-1 shot. Better Days Ahead, a 6-1 shot. High Class Hero, Sean O'Keefe rides 17-2. Paul is on board Dancing City. This Jockeys Championship in Ireland is hotting up. We've had a brilliant winner of the British Jockeys Championship in Harry Cobden beating Sean Bone. The Irish Championship has not been decided yet, and it's coming down to a titanic tussle between Jack Kennedy and Paul Town, and Jack currently leads, but Paul's got a whole lot of firepower, Aidan, including Dancing City. He takes over from Danny Mullins. Is he going to be on a winner here, or is 3 festivals going to be a little bit too much for Dancing City?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? I think if it's not, he'd probably win. But if it is, which is a good chance of it, he's up against it. Like, you look at Better Days Ahead, what a great trial for being a top class horse that, the Martin Pipe race is. We talked about that last week, didn't we? And Stellar Story, just got up to beat the Jukebox Man, who also, that form ties in with Dancing City as well, doesn't it? So, one of the top 3 is going to win it, and it depends on what angle you want to go at. I would go against Dancing City because of the third, being at the third festival he runs at of the year, and probably go with maybe Better Days Ahead, just looking at his, the history of the Martin Pipe race, the festival, and what horses it throws up. That's the angle I'm going with.
Okay. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't. I struggle with this race. I don't fancy Dancing City. I think he had quite a hard race at Cheltenham to finish third. He's the only one really to come out the pack. I almost feel like he's here for Paul rather than being here necessarily because this is a great opportunity. I'm not in love with Stella Story. Better days ahead. I think the Martin Pipe is a better race than the Albert Bartlett. Just the way they finish, the way the form will work out. I think that's a better race. I'm going to sit on the fence with this one, Emmett. What I would say is there's one to watch here. Not going to win this race. Trained by Emmet Mullins, called Back Me or Sack Me. Yeah. Runs in the colours of Paul Byrne. Point winner, bumper winner at Cork, straight into a Grade 1. No chance whatsoever of winning, I don't think, although he's only 14-1. But this looks like a horse for next season. And as it's in Paul Byrne's colours, it will probably be running for JP next year if it runs anywhere half decent. But I thought that was a little angle just for something to watch. If you force me, I'd back Better Days Ahead, but I'll probably sit on the fence.
Okay, I like Better Days Ahead as well. Danny Gilligan for Gordon Elliott, and I really like that Cheltenham Festival performance. The bumper, which Adam is desperate to talk about. We were going to move on, but he's like, no, we're talking about the bumper. Is Romeo Coolio going to turn things around with Jasmine DeVoe?
Yes, he will, but I don't really fancy him that much to win the race. I think he'll reverse the form. I think in the champion bumper, if Romeo Coolio had come to the stand side, Rowley have held on. And I think that was the key on the day when it's really heavy, get that rail. I think that made a difference. But there are two, there are loads that stand out. There's loads of unexposed horses in here who'll run their race. Jody Townend's on Redemption Day. He seems to have had more starts in bumpers than any horse that I can remember. But I think he'll run his race at about 14s if you wanted an each way. For me, I had it between two. I like the Barry Connell horse, but I think I'm going to just stick with Emmet Mullins' Harbour Highway. He was a point winner. Haven't really seen too much of him, but he came out the other week at Navan, beat a really good horse of Gavin Cromwell's called My Way of Thinking, who's from that sort of family and the JP colours. I was just really impressed by the way he picked up, and he was clear, won it nice and easily. I thought under Derek O'Connor, 10-1 was too big about him.
I'm not going to argue with you about that at all. I thought Redemption Day was the pick here at 14-1. He shouldn't be in this race. He should be over hurdles, but he is. And I liked the performance at Fairyhouse the other day, and the horse he beat, the Passing Wife, had been really talked up and very well backed on his previous start at the Leopardstown Christmas meeting. So I don't think that's bad form at all. And Jody Townend has often popped up in these races when Paul and Patrick have picked other horses, and obviously Paul can't ride in this race because it's not Britain. Aidan, who do you like? Barry Connell's horse?
I like, but William Money, Barry's been beating the drum about this horse since before he ran at Navan. He was impressive that day. He was impressive at Naas. He said he wasn't going to Cheltenham. And this has obviously been the plan pretty much all year, really, by the sounds of it. And that's good enough for me.
William Money.
Bumpers are hard. Like how do you go through them? Really, there's not enough depth to the form, is there, to figure out which one? You're only going on reputations and that. But that's why I'm sticking with William Money.
And the Cheltenham form often gets reversed in this race as well. You go in thinking, I've got a clear idea. I know who the best horse, and it all gets turned around completely in the race. So go for a bit of value. Depending on your definition of value, of course. The 525, the Ladbrokes Punchestown Gold Cup, sees Galopin Des Champs, who is bidding to win he's the only horse in history to win the Savills Chase, the Irish Gold Cup, and the Gold Cup in the same season. Now he bids to do what Sizing John did, which is win the Irish Gold Cup, the Gold Cup, and the Punchestown Gold Cup all in the same season. He failed in his attempt to do it last year. Can he do it this season? Perhaps. He's a strong, long odds-on favourite to do so. 11-8 on with Jeff Banks bet. Fast or slow, 100-30, last year's winner. Significantly shorter than the price he was last year. Corrick Rambler comes over. This is great to see, a 12-1 shot. Hewick, does he get his ground? Maybe. First-time blinkers, 16-1 shot. Conflated at 20s. Journey with Me is pretty much whatever price you want as well. Aidan, is Galopin Des Champs going to outclass them and win at Punchestown, or will he come unstuck after a busy season?
I think it's fast or slow's race again, really, I do. He didn't get a go at the Gold Cup, so he's a fresher horse, isn't he? Galopin Des Champs obviously was pretty dominant in the Gold Cup last year and came here, a short price, and him and Braveman's Game both underperformed that day. Braveman Game hasn't turned up since, really. I just think that Gold Cup might have just left the mark on him like it did last year. Look, if I was a jockey, I would be picking, Galloping the Champs, because he is the best horse in the race. But I just think with that run, that hard race in the Gold Cup and Fast or Slow not getting, to the business end, I'm going to go with him. He won it there last year. He loves Punchestown, as we know. I think it's his race.
Yeah, I'm very much in agreement with you. And we had this conversation not so long ago, Adam, where I was saying, when it gets to Punchestown, Fast or Slow is just going to beat him. And immediately you went, yes, this is his race. Do you still share that view, or are you a bit like Gavin Lynch? Don't go in with any preconceived notions. Go in with a fresh look. So after your fresh look, what is your mindset saying now?
My mindset says Punchestown is not Galopin's track. If Fast or Slow is going to beat him, this is it. He will never beat him at Cheltenham. I don't think he'll beat him at Leopardstown. This is it. It's been a long, hard season for Galopin. Fast or Slow, last year wasn't a fluke, and I'm glad he's proved that this season. That wasn't a fluke when he beat Brave Man's Game. I'm so torn because ultimately Galopin to show. You look at the follow what Jerry Colomb did, and Galopin's kicked him out of the way. I think the way that the only way I can see to play this race is I'm going to leave the big two, and I'm going to take a proper swing in the dark here. I think there's a nice angle with the forecast, or possibly just playing each way and praying. But I think Capodanno is massively overpriced because Capodanno is going to get a very, very quiet ride from Mark Walsh. There's no way he's going to want to be on the business end. And I just thought Capodanno is just going to come very late. Now, he probably, if Fast or Slow or Galopin run their race, he won't beat them. But he will be ridden like he was in the Cotswold Chase at Cheltenham. Just get him nice and quiet. You know what he's going to do. He's going to come late. There's your betting angle if you really wanted to force it. But I think the only bet I'll have is a lazy forecast of Galopin or Fast or Slow with Capodanno to finish second. Because I want something that's just going to not try and win. Thinking like the correct Rambler ride in the Gold Cup. That's what you're looking for. Come late. Keep coming when everything else has shot their bolt. If Fast or Slow should win. He should win. Or everything tells me he should win. But equally, if Galopin turns up in Cheltenham form, I'll be a little bit nervous and trying to lay myself out and running.
Well, how many people were absolutely confident that Carlingford Lock was going to win this race when he popped up at 12-1, beating my beloved Jack Adam and Q Card, who was an odds-on favourite, and he bombed out? There's been a number of high-profile horses who haven't quite managed to perform to the level in this race. So if you're giving me a 100 to 30 Fast or Slow to beat 33-1 Capodanno in a forecast, copy, paste, take, Max, Jeff Max. How much can we get on? That's. I'll just.
Oh no! It's more like a pound straight.
Oh, of course. Gamble responsibly and all that malarkey. But no, I am very confident about Fast or Slow, and I think the Capodanno forecast angle is a really interesting one. The Barberstown Castle Novice Chase Grade 1, 2 miles, half a furlong, just to add that little bit of extra in. Gaelic Warrior is a prohibitive short price favourite for this race on the Thursday. He's 3-1 on. And really, Aidan, Willie Mullins has... I know that, in fact, Jeff Banks is going 3-1 about him as favourite for the King George. And I get the logic in that. I don't think he's going for the King George next season. The way Willie Mullins has been talking is very similar to what Adam just said. The defeat of El Fabiolo is going to mean that Gaelic Warrior stays to 2 miles. And this will be the latest step in his transformation. He's almost saying now, in fact, he is saying now that they're wondering what the hell they were doing running him over 3 miles in Grade 1 company as a novice hurdler at Punchestown last year. I mean, right-handed at Punchestown, he's just going to kick this lot into touch, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I really think so. It's a big gap between Cheltenham. Obviously he's a horse that does do a lot, at the races. He's a busy kind of horse and he gets worked up. But I think, it's really his race to lose. As you say, he jumps right, still managed to win an Arc very impressively. I was all against him that day because of that. I hope maybe that whole course at Cheltenham, I think jumping right would be, the kiss of death, but no, definitely not. I look, barring accidents, he wins this race. It's a pretty boring view because he'll be odds on, but he has to make mistakes or something like that for him not to win this. He's
No,
by far the best.
I completely agree with you. I was hilariously wrong about him in the Arkle. I thought he was more likely to end up in the Guinness Village than he was in the Winners' Enclosure.
Oh, was I really was. Yeah.
Oh man, I got him badly wrong. Is Ilete Tomp a real threat to him after his win at Aintree, Adam?
No. So he's just not. Look at the Arkle form, and the fact we're going right-handed suits Gaelic Warrior. Ilete Tomp. I'll be surprised. I know we're recording Monday night, so we don't know, but I'll be surprised if he runs.
Yeah, I would.
I'm not sure 2 miles is right for Ilete Tomp. I'm surprised, Emmet. I thought you were going to bring in my other mate. Proof that Willie Mullins doesn't always listen to idiots on social media like me. What's Mr. Policeman doing in here, still over fences? Come on, Willie. Back over hurdles, son. What are you doing? But
he's probably going to run the handicap this week, I would imagine, will he?
I'd have thought. So Marker 149, he would have won the county hurdle so easily. He'd have beaten Absurd.
He didn't need to win the county hurdle, though. He won it anyway.
No, I know. That's the problem, you see. But this lad still holds the record for the fastest time from the third last to the winning line at Fontainebleau. In the last 6 years, I can't find a horse who's done it quicker. Hurdles. But actually, I think Mr. Policeman, if he runs, is just the forecast horse. Because Rich Ritchie won't have two horses next to each other. Gaelic Warrior will go off. The others won't see what way he goes. Mr. Policeman will plod round and finish second. You can't. If Gaelic Warrior runs, he's impossible to oppose.
Yeah,
absolutely impossible.
He's the only one who can beat him, isn't it? Himself, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mr. Policeman. Yeah.
No Gaelic Warrior. I think if you watched him in the preliminaries, and if he's really on edge and really kind of angry or whatever he does, that's kind of the only thing going against him on.
They're going 16-1 about Hercule de Soy. That's too big if he rocks up.
Again, if you're looking for fork, on each way kind of angle, something to follow home, and maybe if anything did happen, Gaelic Warrior, something has to win the race, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's a very good horse. He wins a lot.
He does, and I think Aintree probably was a little bit too much for him after a considerable amount of time off the track, and that should have put him spot on for this.
You could look at it that way, yeah, definitely, yeah. I think even if so, he's not good enough to beat Gaelic Warrior. But as you say, if he does anything wrong, then something has to win.
Let's go on to the Ladbrokes Champion Stairs Hurdle, where we get to talk about my beloved Tihupu, the greatest hurdler in training. He's even money and no bigger than that to beat, his stable companion probably would have taken on State Man. There's not much point talking about the Irish Champion Hurdle. It's going to be a 4-runner race where State Man will gallop around and go and win. Unless anybody has an alternative with Irish Point. Nope. Who has the option of turning up here as well, but highly unlikely to do so given that Tihupu just wins. Adam, he has run 9 times off a break of 50 days or more and is unbeaten in all 9. But this, the Trends boys will tell you, is 49 days since the Stairs Hurdle, so he might be vulnerable.
Oh, if it just shuts you up, it'd be worth it to see him get beat. But, I just kind of if it rains a lot and it's soft ground, he's going to win. But I think Cider Burley's the bet. He can't be 9-1. What did I tell you after the Cheltenham thing? You watch that Stairs Hurdle, he's out the back of the telly, and then this green and gold shirt and white hat zips down the outside to finish 5th. I'm so disappointed he didn't get to Aintree.
Yeah.
Because I think he won at Aintree. I think he'd have won that. I think that Aintree really suits him better than any track. But
why didn't he go to Aintree?
He was a non-runner on the day.
Late withdrawal, wasn't he?
It wasn't.
Was he? Right.
See if I can find out. Vet certificate. But if he rocks up here, he's so tempting. He shouldn't be 9-1. That Cheltenham Stairs Hurdle run showed he's still got it. The problem Cider Burley has, I think, is he needs them to go a good pace, which hopefully if they run something like a steering for Lines, there will be a decent pace. But it's just whether Mark Walsh can kid him along enough to get him on a roll, because when they turn for home at Punchestown, you don't have as much time. But if he's one of those horses you can probably back in running, you might get 25s about him in running, but he'll be doing his best work at the finish. He should never, ever be 9-1, because I think he's in similar form to that he was at his peak this time last year. He's an each way bet to nothing for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Even on his run last year, he's only beaten 3/4 of a length. And Classical Dream was basically unbeatable in this race, and he's not in it. So the only one
The race was run from last year, either, was it?
No, it absolutely wasn't.
He was bang there turning in, and like he wants to, as Adam said, he wants to be coming off a strong pace. They didn't go fast enough for him last year. They weren't stopping.
Yeah.
He was nearly upsides in front turning in, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He wants to be confidence back.
Yeah,
flat out. You know what I mean? It all depends on the pace of the race. It doesn't matter what Mark does. It's if they go fast, he's got a great chance. If they don't go fast, he's got no chance. I think it's as simple as that, really.
I know now your mentality has to change, Aidan, because you were not allowed to bet as a jockey, but now that you're no longer a jockey, you can suddenly join us in betting as much as you want, responsibly, of course. But 10-1 is available with at least one firm, and that's just too big.
It probably is too big, maybe, but I think, in and around evens for Tio Hupo is a great bet, really. I think he's by far the best in the race. I know he's the fresh angle is important, but it is nearly 50 days, isn't it?
49.
Yeah. He's the best. Evens. Good price.
He'll win next year's Stairs Hurdle as well, won't he?
Yeah. After he wins that in Chris. We'll see him about as much as Constitution Hill.
See, Adam is already going, oh, no, we got this French fella called Telem.
Well, let's see if he gets back in training first before I go making a fool of myself for a second time. But Telem would have won this year's Stayers Hurdle.
No, he wouldn't. Right, the Boodles Champion Hurdle is just State Man's race to win, so we'll leave it alone. Yeah. The Alana Holmes Champion Novice Hurdle, Ballyburn, is a little bit like Gaelic Warrior, prohibitively priced. He's a 3s on shot. And the vast majority of the horses who are priced up against him, including Slade Steele, will have run on the Tuesday beforehand. He just wins, doesn't he? I know that there's some people looking at the Aintree form and going, or the Aintree race, and saying, oh, that then proves that the Ballyburn form is not that good. But he beat Dancing City, who came out and has won at the Dublin Racing Festival in Grade 1 company and has then gone on to Aintree and win. He beat Slade Steele, who's come out to win the Supreme. Just because the Gallagher Novice Hurdle form didn't hold up at Aintree, Adam, doesn't mean that suddenly that form's worthless.
No, I think you have to take the Gallagher, can I call it the Ballymore? It's easier. That race is 2 races. You've got Ballyburn and then you've got the rest. Because Jimmy DeSoy didn't finish second because he was the best horse. He finished second because his jockey gave him a brilliant ride. And he worked out that others were going to take on Ballyburn. They were going to pay the price and he'd come through. We can learn from that. I know Willie said Il Atlantique is going back to 2 miles. Well, good luck. I don't think Il Atlantique has got the minerals for it. So that form is questionable. That being said, I'm going to take Ballyburn on. And I'm going to take him on with Predator's Gold, who I've been banging the drum about ever since he ran in that Gallagher Novices. Because if you watch that race, Predator's Gold he's not going as well as Ballyburn, and he probably won't beat him. But Predator's Gold gets to the top of the hill on the old course, and his stride shortens massively. He doesn't want to go down the hill. The stride shortening, you can see he's hesitant. He eventually consents as he goes down the hill. He makes a mistake at the third last when he meets it wrong, meets the second last wrong, and he's beaten. He's just not suited to Cheltenham. I've never really seen a novice take Cheltenham worse than him. But his form prior to that is nowhere near too bad. He's 2 from 2 at Punchestown. He finished second to Caldwell Potter over what was an inadequate 2 miles at Christmas. Then he came out and got beat by 1 1/4 lengths by Dancing City in the Nathaniel Lacey. And yet this horse is an enormous price for this race. They're going to run here. They're not going to drop back in trip. Punchestown, we know, suits him. He doesn't have the same problem of the steep hill that he has at Cheltenham. If he's ever going to get the better of Ballyburn, this is the race. And I just think he's way too big. The way to play it probably is to back Predator's Gold and then have the straight forecast for Ballyburn. But I think Predator's Gold will either produce one hell of a shock or he'll finish second.
Well, there's also the possibility that his price holds up because we know Paul Townend is going to be on board Ballyburn for sure. And then it's a race to... Danny could ride him. He rode him at Cheltenham. But it could be somebody else. It could be Patrick who rides him. Point is that the market might not cop on to the fact that actually his form from early in the season is quite good and Cheltenham just didn't suit him and not have the angle that you have. In which case, betting without the favourite... Yeah, betting without the favourite might might actually be an attractive betting. If the Jeff Banks bet odds compilers are listening, just skip forward, lads. Skip forward for a second. Don't listen to Adam. Adam's crazy. He's insane. He's like Alex Jones, who turns out to be right about a lot of stuff, but horribly wrong about others. So yeah, don't ignore him. He's talking absolute madness. Isn't that right, Aidan? It's a complete madness. The horse has got no chance. And then we all just get stuck in without the favourite at a decent price.
Yeah, well, it's the favourite's race to lose anyway. Boring angle, but it is that simple, I think. Well, I like Adam's angle. To be fair, I didn't really spot that at Cheltenham. So it's only a race I watched once. I didn't really think there was much to take out of it, really, other than Ballyburn was the best. But goes to show, maybe now I'm on this side of the fence, I need to do a bit more homework.
Well, to be fair, of all of the analysis from Cheltenham, I've only heard one pundit zone in on Predators Gold, and that's Adam. I haven't heard anybody else make that point. Everybody else is just like, oh my goodness, Ballyburn's amazing, and blah, blah, blah. Nobody was looking at the horses in behind and what they might do next time, except for Adam. So yeah, I'm with you. 16-1 is available right now. Don't know if you can get it with Jeff Banks' bet, but it is available. There's two more races for us to talk about, just very, very briefly. The Coolmore National and Sires Bolshoi Ballet, Irish EBF Mares Champion Hurdle. I mean, Lassima just wins, Adam, doesn't she?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Aidan?
Yeah, she's not too keen for that. She'll win.
Which brings us to the Ballymore Champion 4-year-old Hurdle. We're not going to waste your time with a race that we think is dominated by a very strong favourite. But this one is very intriguing because the Cromwell team think the world of Bottler's Secret, and everyone now can see why after his victory at Ferryhouse. But our old friend Cargeezy is in here again. And this might very well be the last time that Adam Mills backs her before he removes her from the tracker, unless she does go to France in the summer, in which case he'll be all in at nice prices there. But this presents her with a pretty decent opportunity. She's been busy. She's had a long season. Can she go out with a bang here, Adam?
She can, but does she run here would be my first question. I don't think she can run Cheltenham, Aintree, Punchestown and Auteuil. So something's got to give. The Auteuil race is worth more money, and Willie Mullins and Kenny Alexander won it last year with Carla Marceau. So if she runs here, she won't be going there. I mean, what I would say is that the also-rans from the Triumph can't win this. High wind, that thing that everyone goes on about, bunting. Yeah, no, that won't win. Yeah, I'm not in love with that. I don't really... I think... Yeah, that was the kind of the one disappointment I had from Aintree was that Nürburgring didn't run, because that would have really told us how good is the Triumph form. Carguess is lovely. She's fantastic. What a filly to have done this in the year. She's had loads of runs, takes her racing really well, always travels, but 2 miles is her absolute limit. There's nothing else under the bonnet. I'd just be a little bit worried at the end of a hard season. And don't forget, Cargies had already run races by this time last year. She started on the 19th of March. She hasn't had a great deal of time off. I think if Willie wanted to win at Auteuil, he might say to Kenny, we'll run Miss Manzor here and we'll send Cargies to Auteuil for the prize money. I don't know. If Nicky Henderson says Sir Gino, he'll win. But that's quite...
He's not, is he?
I don't think he will.
I don't...
He would win, though, wouldn't he? Yeah, he would win. Yeah,
I think he would win. I don't think he would have won the Triumph because I think the heavy ground would have blunted him. But I think he would win this. But I think I'll stick with the Aintree pick, probably of Nürburgring. The only other one who just stands out is that Bottler's Secret. That kind of that's a completely different form line. We haven't really seen him in the same kind of category as some of these, so he'd have a chance. The way I would draw his form line is to kind of look and think, well, he beat Miss Manzor and Gimme 5 by 10 lengths. So he's probably 6 or 7 lengths behind Cargies, but he's only had 2 starts over hurdles. So he's got a lot more improvement to come. But I think Nürburgring, this is the best opportunity he'll ever get to win a Grade 1.
Does that mean you're with him as well, Aidan, at Nürburgring?
No, I'm going to go Bottler's Secret. You know, Gavin's had an unbelievable season. He's like, you know, he hasn't missed, and they've held this horse in the highest regard for a long time. Well, you know, the few times he's ran, they've talked pretty highly of him, and you know, he's not anything wrong, is he really? And he's coming here, you know, off another good run. Yeah, it's him for me, really.
Yeah, I'm with you. By the way, I really like Carguess, but it's been a very busy season for her. Adam is the one who put us onto her at a very early stage, rewarded at the Dublin Racing Festival, rewarded with a double figure price at Cheltenham, if you think about it too, the fact that she ran such a blinding race that day. But this might be just a little bit too much for Bottler's Secret coming in fresh, having only had the 2 starts and being very, very impressed, living up to the hype at Fairyhouse when he was a little bit negative in the market and still managed to go and win. I think that bodes well for him. So I'm with him. So who is the best bet then of Punchestown 2024? You are allowed to say City of Troy and the Guineas if you choose, but we should be back with another podcast before Newmarket at the weekend. He's way too short a price, by the way.
He's too short. Too short. Yeah.
Right, who's gonna?
I think Fastest Slow is my bet in the week.
Adam,
can I give you 2?
Yes, of course.
The races we've discussed, side of Burley each way in the stayers. But if he runs in the Gold Trophy Handicap Hurdle, the top weight Ballyadam has got to be a bet on Saturday. It's his only entry at the festival. This horse was beaten 3 lengths by Langadan, giving him £6. And Langadan had at least a stone in hand, if not more. He ran an enormous race. I know that they went to Sandown and it didn't work out, but if they really had the balls just to go, we've got the rest of the summer to give him time, let's throw him back in a handicap. I just think this horse is capable. And I'll have to bet, if he runs on Saturday, I'll have to back him. I think he's unlikely to back up from Sandown, but if he does, I'd have to back him. But Side of Burley would be the main nap of the week.
Okay. I'm going to follow you in on Side of Burley. I'm going to follow you in each way on Predator's Gold as well. And I think I said it before, Aidan, because if not, I'm just following Aidan as well, which maybe is what I'm doing. Fast or Slow is the bet. He's the best bet. And I'm a massive Galopin de Champ fan, as you all know, but come on. Fast or Slow. It's Punchestown, folks. He's gonna love it. That's it. Thank you so much, lads. Really enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed it too. If you did I ask this of you during the show? I don't think I did. Did you press like on this video? Did you? It's all we're asking you to do. It's not going to take a whole lot of time. All you have to do is just reach over and push that little like button. Bang. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. And hit the subscribe button as well for more insight from the lads, the team, and some more interviews too. We have a couple of stable tours coming up, some more great content that hopefully you will like, some stuff that touches on controversial topics that might get your back up. But hey, it's all fun. From Aidan Coleman, Adam Mills, and me, Emmet Kennedy, thank you for listening and watching the Final Furlong podcast. We're back with more stuff for you very soon, including ahead of the weekend. Look after yourself and each other. God bless.